On today's show, one of the Ottawa Senators' most experienced playoff players has shed his non-contact jersey at practice. Where does Nick Cousins fit in when he gets back into the lineup?
And we reflect on how the 2017 playoff roster compares to the 2025 one.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today is Thursday, April 10th, and Pillsy, we're not going to take a whole lot of the line combination changes at practice today, but one thing's for sure, Nick Cousins can be an impactful player for the Senators in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a nice sight seeing him back in a regular jersey, taking part in the line rushes. We're not sure if he's going to be back for Friday's game tomorrow up against the Montreal Canadiens, but he's really been a bright spot since he's come to Ottawa because he's been that pest. And when he's got time and space, he's shown he can put the puck in the back of the net. He's had a couple really nice goals, a couple top shelf wristers, some breakaways, things like that. So I'm happy to see Nick Cousins back, and I think he would fit in perfectly on a fourth line on this playoff roster.
Yeah, when you look at Matthew Highmore's done a good job at drawing penalties of late. Kind of plays in the mold of Nick Cousins, where he's always smiling at the opposition, getting under their skin. But let's not kid ourselves. Getting Nick Cousins back is an upgrade over what Matthew Highmore can bring on the fourth line. Is that where you expect him to start when he makes his return? Potentially as soon as tomorrow night. I wouldn't bank on it. I think maybe Sunday afternoon against one of his former teams. I guess they both are. Played for the Habs and played for the Philadelphia Flyers. But it would be great to see him get into at least a couple games before game one.
Yeah, I'm going to say I expect him to see him up against Montreal. I mean, he's in the regular jersey. They're without Brady Tkachuk. But it is interesting that they haven't sent Angus Crookshank back down. I think if we saw Crooker get sent back down, that would kind of confirm it. But I do like the look of Nick Cousins on that fourth line better than Highmore. It just adds a little bit more grit, a little bit more sandpaper. Like when you had Highmore and Gaudette, like you don't need all that kind of speed and offensive minded players on a fourth line. So Nick Cousins gives it a bit of a different look that I think is more appropriate for a fourth line.
Well, you're going to potentially be adding some scoring to the fourth line because that kind of begs the question then, what happens when Brady Tkachuk comes back in the lineup? Still no update on him other than not being at practice today. But again, you want him to play at least a game or two of the regular season. You don't want him being thrown into a playoff scenario where he hasn't played in 3 weeks. So if that's the case, then is Fabian Zetterlund going back, where he has spent some time with Adam Gaudette on the fourth line and was still finding ways to find shot attempts, still only the one goal. Hey, one goal in his last one game for Fabian Zetterlund, but just 1 in 16 since joining the Sens. Like, how do you manipulate the roster if you're Travis Green going into the playoffs if everybody's available?
Well, I forget if it was Staios or Green that said if it was playoffs, like Brady would be playing. So
Steve Staios said that yesterday.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much a guarantee we are going to see Brady Tkachuk play in the regular season again. So it's a good problem to have. I was kind of tinkering with the lines this morning, and once you got everybody back that you expect to be there, it is difficult to fit everyone in, which, I mean, good problems. I'm not going to sit here and complain. Ross, we on Twitter, I don't know if everyone saw, but with Graham Creech, we posted some screenshots of hilarious forward lineups that are you shake your head looking at it being like, I can't believe this was an NHL roster for real heading into an NHL game. So if you missed those, go check them out. Or if you guys have some of your own hilarious screenshots of rosters, send them our way because they are funny to look back on. But Ross, I know you're going to push back on this, and that's fine because it's a little different. But the way I would set it up is I would have Brady with Timmy and Giroux. I've got it here. Brady, Timmy, Giroux. This is left to right. Perron, Cousins, Batherson, got to keep that line together. Splitting it up would be crazy, in my opinion. Greg, Pinto, Zetterlund. I got Zetterlund on that third line. And then a fourth line of Cousins, Gaudette, and Amadio. I know you don't want to split up that Greg, Pinto, Amadio line because they're a shutdown matchup line. And that's fine. I can understand that. I just think I would rather give a little bit more ice time and a little bit more of a chance for that line of Greg and Pinto to have an offensive flair to it. And I think Amadio makes a lot of sense as a fourth line guy.
You know that Michael Amadio played top 6 for Vegas when they won the Stanley Cup, right?
I'm aware.
Every single game. And shout out to Sinbin, a Vegas website. They have the line combos from every single game in Vegas history. So you can actually go back and see it. And in the entire Stanley Cup Finals, the second line was a line of William Karlsson at center, and then it also had Michael Amadio at right wing. So
you put him in the top 6 is what you're saying.
No, I don't, but I don't put him on the fourth line.
Okay.
I also just can't. Riley Smith was the other member of that line. But you could probably alternate because they had Chandler Stevenson, Brett Howden, and Mark Stone as their quote unquote third line. So you could probably say that it's one way or another there. But I can't have Michael Amadio with his playoff experience, with me saying he's an X factor for this team. I can't have him playing 8-9 minutes a night. I need Michael Amadio to be on that third line. The only thing, here's what I would do. And again, this probably isn't going to happen because Travis Green loves Pinto, Greg, and Amadio. Wouldn't it be fun in a playoff series, even just for a first period of game 1?
What are you cooking up here?
To have Ridley Gregg play center on the fourth line with Nick Cousins on one wing. Those two would cause chaos on the ice. And we know that the first 10 minutes of a playoff series, nobody even cares where the net is. Everybody is trying to get a physical edge in that, at least for a couple shifts. Heck, I would even go outrageously wild. This is not going to happen. But I would start game 1, my starting lineup, Ridley Gregg with Brady Tkachuk and Nick Cousins.
Yes. Yes. First shift. Let's go. I was hoping you'd say that.
Clevin and Matt Powell. Let's go.
Yeah, I was hoping you would get to that point. Hey, for one shift, sure, let's do it.
And you're on the road, too.
I like it.
Can Chris Neal dress?
Probably.
Let's go. Jokes aside, though, I get what you're thinking there. I just look at Fabian Zetterlund as a guy who, if you start him on the fourth line, there's no issue within a game moving him up in a situation where you have offensive zone possession. Hey, Fabian, get out there with Timmy for a shift. Make it happen offensively. And then when the whistle goes, boom, Giroux can replace him out there and take a face-off, an important face-off in the defensive zone. So I think you have more options if Zetterlund's your guy that falls down than trying to tinker with the line that you need to go up against the other team's top line to shut them down.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like I said, I'm not going to have a lot of pushback on that. And you're going to get Zetterlund his time on the second power play, I assume. So he's going to get opportunities there. I just thought it'd be nice to get a little bit more of a scoring touch on that third line. Now, Michael Amadio can score goals too. I know you're going to push back with that. So I understand that. But if Zetterlund was just strictly an all offense guy, I don't think I would go with that. But I've really liked his play away from the puck as well, Ross. I don't know about you, but he's been really good in board battles. He's been doing a couple takeaways in the neutral zone. He's playing a physical game. So that's where I just want to give him a fair shake here. Now, it is interesting. He is in the last year of his contract, RFA. So it's interesting how the Sens are going to navigate that with him, especially since he's been on the fourth line. He's been on the top line, second power play unit. He hasn't succeeded to where him and the Ottawa Senators probably had hoped, but I still think he's a good player with good potential, and I want to give him a little bit more than 8 minutes a night.
And Nick Cousins is coming back from knee surgery, so we will see how the speed is affected, but full participant at practice, Nick Cousins today. Could we see him in the lineup tomorrow? Let us know your lineup with a fully healthy roster. We'll pull up ours as we compare and contrast this Ottawa Senators version versus the one that was one goal away from the Stanley Cup final back in 2017. We had a YouTube commenter as well say, boys, who are your favorite goalies in Sens history? And as a hashtag goalie friendly show, you know we got to get to that at the end of today's show. We're also going to give our three options, our three favorite options of which former Senators could come out for game one at home, and fire up the crowd. Which alumni? We asked that question yesterday on Twitter at Sens Central. Got some great responses, but I am very bullish on my answer. That's all coming up. Thank you to the everydayers who make us your first listen each and every weekday. We got the postcast after every single game, and yesterday we had more than a dozen Ottawa Senators fans on the show, including a Go Sens Go from Ian Mendez. If you missed any of it, you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. And we post the Ian Mendez conversation on YouTube as well if you just want to go and check that out. Okay, playoffs are back in Ottawa. I even got the 2015 roster for the Senators playoffs. And there's one part of that roster that I think compares pretty well to what you're about to see in a couple of weeks. That's next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day. Do you have trouble sleeping? If so, you're not alone. That used to be me, lacking rest, tossing and turning. I was late for meetings. I never felt like myself. That's until I found Bare Mattress. Bare Mattress and their sleep recovery technology helped me fall asleep faster, as well as enjoy deeper sleeps. I felt like myself again, and you can too. Bare Mattress knows that every sleeper is different. That's why they have their sleep quiz on their website that finds you your perfect match. As a side sleeper, I matched with the Elite Hybrid mattress, and I've been telling everyone in my life they have to try Bare Mattress risk-free. You can sleep on your Bare Mattress up to 120 nights, and if you're not getting the best sleep of your life, you can get it refunded. They'll pick it up with absolutely no hassle. So go to bearmattress.com and use my promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout to get 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's bearmattress.com. Use my promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 40% off site-wide. Bearmattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL. All right, Pilsy. The Ottawa Senators are heading back to the Stanley Cup Playoffs. There are 4 games remaining in the regular season, and it is still up in the air who the opponent will be. The Toronto Maple Leafs got a huge overtime win last night against the Tampa Bay Lightning, pushing their lead to 3 points up on Tampa, and they have a tie in regulation wins, the first tiebreaker when it comes to points. So, with that said, the Leafs, the Lightning, both still options, but so are the Washington Capitals, because heading into tomorrow's game that we'll preview on Locked On Senators Friday, we also have a very special guest joining us for that show. Maybe a guest that you're like, wait, why? Oh, it'll all make sense once we get that conversation going. But Sens Habs tomorrow night, Senators going into that game 3 points up on Montreal for the first spot in the wild card, the chance to stay in the Atlantic bracket. The second wild card will play Washington and move into the Metro. Pilsy, we said that once the Sens clinch, there's no meaningful games. Well, I think I was wrong, because holy smokes, it's going to be a great atmosphere tomorrow at the CTC.
I tried to tell you. I did my best to let you know that was going to be a big one. How are you feeling about your earlier opinion of fully resting guys in tomorrow's game?
Not fully, but I mean, Brady's not going to play. So I don't know if you're resting or if he's legitimately injured. I'm sure it's a bit of both, maybe a little gray area there if he could play, if it's a playoff game. I stand by. Nick Jensen should not be playing, but it looks like he will. Full participant in practice. This would have been, to me, either a perfect chance to get Dennis Gilbert into a game. He brings the meat, the physicality, and if Jack Guy wants to run around and be a goofball, he's a guy that could step in there and punch a face or two. And then, I mean, Travis Hamonic is 3 games away, or 3 games away from 900 in his career. So if you wanted to get him there, they've clinched at this point. Go nuts. But it doesn't look like
900 games a thing. Let us know in the chat, in the comments.
I don't think anyone in the comments has played 898 games in the NHL.
No, but I just mean, like, do you look at a guy and you're like, damn, he was a couple games away from 900. I don't know.
It would look good on if he has a hockey school down the road. It's like Travis Hamnick Hockey School, 900 NHL games played.
I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Jensen take a break here. Like the stretch he's been on of being basically day to day and maintenance, and even when he plays, Ross, like this guy's taking bumps and bruises. It seems like every game he's kind of shaken up, and the camera's panning to him on the bench getting looked at. So like just shut him down for a bit, in my opinion. But yeah, other than that, I'm not resting anyone else other than Brady and Jensen, though.
No, and I know there's some people out there who want to see Washington, not only for the fact that they might be a little distracted with the Ovechkin chase, and maybe they stacked a lot more of their points earlier on in the season, and you potentially, if you somehow get that upset, would then get to stay in the Metro and play the winner of New Jersey and Carolina. I get that, but I want to finish as high as possible. Not only for the reason of the Battle of Ontario, hopefully, but also you want to have a little momentum going into the playoffs. You would have to lose at least half of your games remaining of the 4 to even have a chance to be the second wild card team.
No, I mean, if they lose tomorrow in regulation, that's a 1 point difference between them.
That's one of the 4 games.
Yeah, but I mean, like that would make it very close, and it wouldn't have to be a collapse. And again, I hate to say it, but the Montreal Canadiens are hot right now.
Yeah, well, we should cool them down. They have beaten Ottawa 3 times this year. These are our projected playoff rosters for the Ottawa Senators heading into 2025. Tim Stützle centering Brady Tkachuk and Claude Giroux, a line that's played so many minutes together over the course of the last 3 seasons. I'm actually going to pull that up here when I snap it back to you because I am curious what the total is. Dylan Cousins with David Perron and Drake Batherson. We're going to keep the third line intact for now, or Travis Green's going to call in and cancel our show. Shane Pinto between Ridley Gregg and Michael Amadio. And that leaves Adam Gaudette with Nick Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund on defense. Jake Sanderson with Artem Zub. Thomas Chabot with Nick Jensen. Tyler Klevin with Nicholas Matin-Palo. Linus Allmark and Anton Forsberg, the goalies. When you look at this lineup, Pilsy, how does it compare to you on paper to what we saw in 2017?
Well, do we have the 2017 lineup available to be pulled up here?
How about that?
Oh, boom. Love it.
Do you want to run through it for our audio listeners?
Yeah, sure. So top line, we got Hoffman, Brassard, Stone. Second line, MacArthur, Turris, Ryan. Third line, Dzingel, Pajot, Stallberg. Fourth line, Pyatt, Smith, Wingles. On defense, our good friend Mark Mathot with Erik Karlsson, Phaneuf and Ceci, Clayson and Weidman, and in net, Anderson and Condon. Let's start in goal and work our way up. How about that as a hashtag goalie friendly show? The one thing I like here is this is a similar situation with the Ottawa Senators. You have a clear number 1 guy. I don't think in 2017, Condon didn't even get a game, did he?
Maybe that's 7-0 loss.
Yeah, I guess. But he didn't start that game.
Correct.
Is more what I was getting at. Yeah. So I think you could see a scenario where Allmark's easily the number 1 guy, and then Forsberg, I don't even think he gets into a single game, especially, I mean, depends how far this team goes. But in round 1, I don't want to see Forsberg start a single game.
What I will say about the goaltending, though, Pilsy, is the seasons did have something in common. Levi Marilainen had to pretty much save the season this year, going 8-3-1 in his 12 games. Remember, Mike Condon started 26 straight games in the regular season in 2016-17 when Anderson was hurt.
Oh, I kind of forgot it was that season. Yeah, that's intense. So that's an interesting comparison there. And then on defense, you look at Mathot Karlsson. I mean, it's flipped, but very similar to Zub Sanderson. You got the smooth skating offensive guy. Mind you, Sanderson plays a little more defense than Karlsson did. And then you've got the hard-nosed shutdown guy with Meth and Zub. So I think very comparable there. Phaneuf and Ceci, very, very different from Chabot and Jensen. But I really like the Chabot-Jensen pair. And then Clayson Weidman, I mean, that's pretty similar to Clevin Matin-Palo, no?
I think so.
Wideman
But
a little more offensive.
That's where I was going to say they're a little more comparable to the 2015 team. As I pull back up here, Clevin Matienpalo. The third pair on the 2015 playoff team was Borowiecki and Eric Gryba.
Yeah, that's a lot more similar.
So I'm not saying that Matienpalo should send someone to the hospital 5 minutes into game one like Gryba did with Lars Eller with that wild hit.
I mean, if it's a suicide pass.
What was it, player 61?
Yeah, I think so.
That series was outrageous. Both those series were outrageous. 2013. It might have been 2013 that hit. Yeah.
I got to
fix the comments.
You know better than I do.
But I look at this team and I think that, look, nobody was on Erik Karlsson's level.
No.
In 2017.
Absolutely.
But if anybody's going to be close, it's Jake Sanderson right now.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So, and then, I mean, you go up to the forward lines, very different fourth lines. Like, could not be more different, in my opinion. You've got a pure goal scorer as the centerman today, and then Zach Smith centering this one, and then Pyatt and Wingels, certainly not in the same style of play as Cousins and Zetterlund. So the fourth line, not even close.
I think the forward group, you could say as a whole, is a lot better now than it was then. And I think the D-core outside of Mathak Karlsson, I think it's a lot better now too.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go as far as saying a lot better for the forwards, but I think better because, man, there is some sneaky talent with that forward group, and all of those guys, especially in the top three lines, like they all shined in the playoffs.
Yeah, and you have the benefit of hindsight with the 2017 team where Bobby Ryan, we always say, earned his entire contract with the Ottawa Senators for what he did in that postseason where he had 6 goals, 9 assists, and it felt like every night when they needed a big goal, Bobby Ryan was going to be there. He had 10 points in even strikes. He had 3 of his 6 goals were game-winning goals. 2 of them were in overtime. He was unbelievable. Derek Brassard, big game brass, came through with a couple of huge moments. Obviously, Mike Hoffman, one of his goals there, the game winner in game 6 against Pittsburgh was huge. I think the best comparison that you can do from this team to the 2017 team is your third line center. Shane Pinto can have, I believe, the same impact as Jean-Gabriel Pageau had in 2017. And third lines are where you win and lose playoff series because usually your top guys cancel out. They do a lot of their damage on the power play as well. It's what is your third line going to bring? And I think the third line on this team is comparable, if not better. Like, I honestly see a little bit of Victor Stahlberg in Michael Amadio, but he's got a stick that's probably an inch longer and might have had a breakaway in game 7 double overtime instead of what happened.
Yeah, I'm giving Amadio the edge on that one.
But I mean, in terms of style, like big, rangy right wingers that can skate and do all the little things well all over the ice.
Yeah, that's fair.
And did Stahlberg have a cup? He was with Chicago.
Yeah, I think he did.
He did, 2013. There you go. Exactly 10 years before Michael Amadio.
Destiny.
So overall, Pilsy, the goaltending in 2017 is what we're always going to remember from that playoff run, right? Like it was incredible what Craig Anderson did. I believe he had a 940. Was it 940? I mean, that game 5 against Pittsburgh, the loss 7-0. It probably tanked these. He had in the regular season a 926. He had a 922 save percentage in 19 playoff starts that year. That's what it's going to come down to. Will Linus Ullmark be able to have a 920 save percentage or better in the playoffs?
How many points did Carl have?
He had 18 points in 19 games. It felt like he had more, eh?
Yeah, I thought it would be in the 20s. Yeah, I mean, I'll give the edge to Anderson there. But like watching those highlights, Ross, Karlsson was just... he was on another level for that playoff run.
And what also added into that too, Pilsy, was the fact that he was playing on literally one leg.
Insane.
It really was. Yeah, he had 6 points in 6 games in the first round series against the Boston Bruins, all assists. Then he decided, you know what, I'll just score the game winner in game 1 against the New York Rangers. He had that 3-assist game in the 5-4 comeback win, the Jean-Gabriel Pageau, 4 goals. That's absolutely sick. Carl had 3 assists in that game. Like, he just brought it. Karlsson averaged 28 minutes a game in the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2017. I don't think Jake Sanderson's going to have to hit that. Obviously, overtime's could impact that. But we know Sandy's played long overtimes before. Was it a 5 overtime game he played with Nodak?
Yeah, and they had the mustard packs and Diet Cokes going in the dressing room.
He played 58 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, that game.
It was insane. Yeah, it was in the 50s. I know that.
Unreal. I just can't wait to see how this team stacks up. And after the playoffs, hopefully a long run, we'll be able to look at the numbers side by side and see how they do.
Though
It comes down to special teams and goaltending. That's as simple as you can make how to win in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, I think so. I would say also the one other big comparable, Ross, is the cornerstone guys of that 2017 team all had playoff experience. Now, Steve Staios did a great job bringing guys in that have playoff experience, but the top guys, Brady, Chabot, Sanderson, Batherson, Cousins, no playoff experience. Timmy, no playoff experience for these guys. So that's going to be a major difference, in my opinion, this team versus the 2017 team.
Let us know in the comments who stacks up better. Imagine these two teams faced off, both as they were then and now. Which one would you be more confident with going in to a Stanley Cup playoff series? We'll have that conversation later on, I'm sure, as things develop here. Pilsy, things are developing on the playoff beard front. Let's get to that after a break. Which alumni, potentially from that 2017 team as well, could come out and fire up the crowd for Game 3? Oh, yeah, and who are our favorite Sens goalies of all time? That's next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Wonderful Pistachios. Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? We'll crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Pistachios are one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. My favorite flavor, you guys know it, it's the salt and pepper flavor in the light purple bag. They got a chili flavor that I love, the classic, nothing wrong with that. And if you don't want to deal with the shells, check out the no shells bags. It's perfect for the grab and go snack for busy days, whether you're snacking at your desk at work or at school, on a road trip, or you just need a quick protein boost. They're always my go-to. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
All right, Pilsy, we've got breaking news out of the Senators locker room. The razors are no more. David Perron says there's no more shaving. The playoff beards have started. And David Perron goes a step further and says, I started mine March 1st because that's when we started playing playoff games. So really, when we got our buzz cuts, that should have been the last one, but we're starting clean. That's our thing. We can both grow them pretty fast. So later today, we will be going clean shaven. And we're putting the razors away, Pilsy. That's it.
Oh, okay. We're following the team. We had stated clearly multiple times that it wasn't until after the regular season.
When David Perron speaks, we listen, right?
Okay.
And I don't think that we're going to just put them away now. I think that we need to start clean, because that is something that I feel passionate about, is getting, as things go, we go. But they've clinched a playoff spot. It'll be the next game after they clinch, right? They have not stepped foot on the ice since clinching for a game.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay, so we're doing it tomorrow morning?
I'm going to probably do it later tonight.
Today, okay. All right.
Yep. David Perron says it. We listen. Speaking of David Perron, he's got a lot of respect around the National Hockey League, and there's lots of Sens alumni who have respect in this community. Who would you bring out to fire up the crowd before Game 3? It sounds like they're going to have people ring the bell. You know how we feel about the bell. Whatever. But in the playoffs,
guy,
anything can fire you up when you have the right people doing it. Who is your number one option that you think could come out there and get the roof knocked off this place?
Okay, let's be realistic though. Like, Erik Karlsson is like it's not happening.
I mean, the Penguins loaned Chris Letang and Sidney Crosby to WWE last night. So why can't they just loan Erik Karlsson to us? It's not happening. I get it.
Okay,
it's not happening.
Okay.
If available, Erik Karlsson and Jean-Gabriel Pageau would be two of the top guys. Obviously, they're still playing. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
When they retire, like imagine Pajot came out with a chicken parm in each hand and just went fired up the crowd. It would be theater.
Just getting sauce everywhere.
Oh, yeah, all over it.
Okay, so my top guy for game 3 that I believe would get the crowd most fired up, Chris Neil.
Yeah, that's a great call.
Right?
The one thing with Chris Neil is he's around all the time, right? So it doesn't have that. I thought about him. I thought about Mark Mathot. I thought about Chris Phillips. Those guys are around. And that's not to give any disrespect. I just think it has to be a special guest that you wouldn't always see around the CTC, which is why my number one choice is Clark MacArthur. The roof came off the building when he came back from his concussion and scored in game 1 against Boston. That celebration is iconic. I think it's just taken a stick to the face. There's blood coming down, and he just unreal. Clark MacArthur, especially if they play the Leafs,
I don't think he's going to do it if they play the Leafs. I don't think so.
I do. I think he would. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I would love it, and that's a great choice. And that's a guy, though, I feel like younger Sens fans don't really get it.
Well, read a book.
Because he was out for so long, and then he came back for the playoffs. So if you weren't invested emotionally in that season, you might not understand the passion and emotion behind what it meant for him to come back. But for those who know, they know it's a great choice.
Okay, I'll give you a 2 for then, because these two were attached at the hip and sometimes between the leg passes to the other. Imagine Clark MacArthur and Kyle Turris together.
Yeah, Kyle Turris would be a great one.
Most overtime goals in the playoffs in Sens history.
Yeah, so clutch. I like that. This is one that I think would be good. I don't know if the energy would be brought or if people would recognize it as much, but Derek Brassard I think would be a great one. Like, he had some massive moments in that run. He's buddies with Meth, so I'm sure Meth could convince him to do it. We haven't seen him really back in the Ottawa Senators circle. He was a 2-term Ottawa Senator. He came back,
played with a lot of these guys who are on the ice.
That's a great point too. Yep. So I'm going big game Brass.
I don't mind that. I think he's more of like a game 4 guy.
Yeah, I got Chris Neil game 3, Brass game 4.
Okay, I like that. I'm sticking with Clark MacArthur and Kyle Turris.
So maybe I misunderstood. I'm doing game by game.
Okay, so let's do game 3, 4, 6 then. So I got Clark MacArthur game. I'll go Clark MacArthur game 4 then. Kyle Turris game 3, because he just had so many big moments through multiple years. 2012, that big overtime goal. 2013, he was electric. And 2017, he had 3 playoffs with Kyle Turris here. Then I'll go Clark MacArthur game 4. And game 6, I'm going to do a pick your own adventure. If they're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, could you imagine if Dion Phaneuf came out?
He wouldn't do it.
I don't think he would do it. But the fact that he won more playoff series with Ottawa in 2 seasons than he did with the Leafs in 6?
A team captain.
I think that would just be amazing. But otherwise, game 6, Craig Anderson.
Okay, that was my pick as well. So we're connected on that one. Game 6, I would love it for it to be Andy.
Is there a chance, though, that you look a little further back in the history books? Like, all of our guys are in the last decade.
And the 2017 run.
Right, exactly. But do you think that they look a little further back?
I don't think so.
No? Because there's a specific name, Pilsy.
But I want to tie it to the 2017 run. That's the whole thing, right? They haven't been back since then. Bring back that energy. Bring back those cast of characters to do it. In my opinion, that would be the way to do it.
Do you know who has the second most game-winning goals in Senators playoff history beside Daniel Alfredson? And of course, we've left Alfie out. This guy's going to be preparing for a game. He's
on the bench. He can't make it all the way down. Yeah. So yes. Game-winning goals, and it's from earlier on.
Alfie has 11. This player has 5. Nope. Hosa's tied with Fisher, Heatley, and Bobby Ryan with 3.
Okay, so I was close at least. Not Havlat.
Martin Havlat.
Huh. Okay.
Martin Havlat with 5 game-winning goals. He has 34 points as a member of the Ottawa Senators in the playoffs. I just think it's another guy that we just don't see around. The other one that we mentioned felt like Wade Redden. could be in the mix here for sure. He obviously went a ton, but like these are guys that we've seen. He already got the Ring of Honor ceremony and all that. So I think if you're going to do that, like Craig Anderson had his Ring of Honor. Was it Ring of Honor or just a retirement thing? I forget.
No, not Ring of Honor.
He should be in the Ring of Honor. That's a story for another
day. We discussed that, yeah.
If it's not someone from the 2017 team, I just think Marty Havlat would fire up the generation that got to see them play in the playoffs every year.
Yeah. I don't hate it. But I for the first round, it's got to be 2017 cast members.
I'll give you a low-key one, a guy who they haven't seen in a while. Anton Volchenkov.
That's a Ross niche pick right there.
Do you know he's tied for 6th in games played in the playoffs in Sens history? Like,
did not know that.
Him and Radek Bonk are tied for 6th.
Wow.
But let us know in the comments. I think it's a fun conversation.
Definitely.
But I also think that it's going to be guys from the 2017 team. The last time they made the playoffs.
It should be.
Kyle Turris needs to be one of them. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't one of my top 3 picks, but I would have no issue with that. Kyle Turris is a big part of the Ottawa Senators playoff story.
Yeah, he really is. So let us know in the comments there. Pilsy, final thoughts from you. We're going to get to our Sens' favorite goalies in Senators history. For us, personal lists.
Yeah. Are we hopping right into that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. How do you want to do it?
Are we going to work our way up? Well, we both have the same guy at number 5. So I think we should just get that out of the way. We both felt like Andrew Hammond had to be on this list because it was the most fun that we've ever had watching regular season Senators hockey. 21-2.
Yeah.
To make playoffs on the last game of the season. The story's been told a million times, but the Hamburglar has to be a top 5 for both of us.
Gotta be. Yeah. We got him at number 5.
Okay, so do you want to just go 4 through 1 quickly, and then I'll go 4 through 1 for me? Because we have 2 completely different players or goalies, and then 2 that we have ranked very differently, or one the exact same and one very differently.
Yep. So I got Emery at 4, Ray Emery. Just the style and the way he was able to pick up the slack when a certain other goalie left the franchise was pretty incredible.
Man, rest in peace. He would be my number 1 choice to fire up the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, oh man.
It's awful what happened.
Yeah, really too bad. A damn shame. I know you got him higher on your list, so I'll let you really get into him. Number 3, I got Linus Ullmark. I know maybe it's early, but a former Vezina winner. He signed 4 more years after this. He was, in my opinion, the missing piece to this puzzle that this roster just could not figure out. Without Linus Ullmark, like, shout out Levi Merilainen, shout out Anton Forsberg, but I think we all can agree if Korpisalo and Forsey were the tandem of this year, you're not even sniffing playoffs yet again. So he's the missing piece to this core. So he's makes my list at number 3.
So number what, Merilainen's number 2?
No, not yet. Not yet. Number 2, Craig Anderson, the goalie with the greatest franchise history stats, and you can't tell playoff stories, or at least my version of playoff stories with the Ottawa Senators without Craig Anderson. And then I think people that have been following along the show long enough know my number 1 pick is going to be Dominik Hasek. I get it. Things didn't work out well with him, and that's fair. You can be upset about it. Totally fair. I'm not going to fault anyone for that. But the reason I'm an Ottawa Senators fan and the reason I am here today doing a Daily Sens podcast is Dominik Hasek. I followed him from Buffalo to Detroit. He landed in Ottawa. I said, it's an Ontario team. I hate the Leafs so much. This is a rival. This team's good. Hasek's here. That's my guy. He left. I had to make a life decision. Do I keep following him or do I stick? I stayed. The rest is history.
And Dominik Hasek has the all-time best save percentage in Senators history, .925.
Yeah, I know he was only here for a short time, but when he was here, he was amazing.
So your list is Dominik Hasek number 1, Craig Anderson number 2, Linus Ullmark number 3, Ray Emery number 4, and Andrew Hammond number 5. I can't believe you left my number 4 guy off your list. Patrick Lalime, I know Game 7s weren't his thing, but this guy needs to be on any top 5 list. There were times, even in the playoffs, where he gets such a bad reputation, where he was an elite goaltender. His second ever playoff series, he had 3 shutouts in 5 games, and he only allowed a goal in each of the other 2 games, both of which went to overtime. Then he got a shutout in game 1 of the next series as well. A 6-game sample where he had a .988 save percentage is just completely outrageous. Most games played by a goalie in Ottawa Senators history, right after Craig Anderson, and not right after. Andy played like almost 200 more games, but for a long time, he was the top goaltender in Senators history. He had that fight that was memorable where he took on the Philadelphia Flyer. I think it was John Grant. Robert Esch. Thank you. Yeah, where he got in a tilt there, and he was fiery. He had the style. He was the original Martian. He was the guy with the he just had swagger. He had a custom stick back in the day. Like, just as a kid growing up watching Patrick Lalime, he just gave you that swagger as a team. So Patrick Lalime comes in at number 4 on my list. Speaking of swagger, this one, again, personal list. These aren't the best goalies in Sens history. These are our favorites. I was the biggest Robin Lehner fan of all time. The swagger and everything, that's a common theme through my list. But the rate, but he was sick too. Like, talk about all-time save percentage. Robin Lehner's 4th on this list behind Ben Bishop, Andrew Hammond, and Dominic Hasek. Like, he was sick. And during that lockout shortened season when Craig Anderson had that run in with some frozen chicken, Robin Lehner and Ben Bishop picked up the slack there and brought them to the playoffs that year. So Robin Lehner is going to be number 3 on my list. Number 2 is Craig Anderson. For all the reasons you mentioned, you can't tell the story of Senators playoff memories without Craig Anderson being a complete rock star. And number 1 is the rock star, Ray Emery. I mean, that was the perfect time of me coming into my own as a Senators fan. I watched him in Binghamton. I was like, this guy is unbelievable. He's got the mindset of an enforcer and the athleticism of an Olympian. Like, this guy was just all time. The boxers on his helmet, everything that Ray Emery brought to the table on ice. And that thing with James Duthie did, the fashionista clip, was just all time. Like, he was a guy that made cheering for the Ottawa Senators fun. And Ray Emery is going to be my number 1. I named my dog back in the day Emmy. And we know Taylor Lush, who was on the show yesterday, said he named his daughter Emery after Ray Emery. So he was a guy that transcended just the on-ice performance of an athlete. Ray Emery's my favorite Senators goalie of all time.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, the Patrick Lalime one, you make a good argument there, but I just, oh man, I can't.
I know.
Forgive the bad goals.
We watched those 2 in Game 7 and 04 together before recording, and it was tough.
And his other numbers are so amazing. It's tough, but I wasn't even a Sens fan then. I was a Leafs hater from day one. Even when I was a Sabres and a Red Wings fan, I hated the Leafs because my whole life was surrounded by Leafs fans. So I was cheering for the Senators, not as a Senators fan back in those days. And yeah, it's tough.
And shout out to Team Sans. YouTube comment asked us who our Sens goalies are while they played for the Senators only. That's the stipulation. So thank you for the great comment. Appreciate everybody commenting on YouTube, liking, listening, watching, subscribing to the show everywhere you get your podcasts. And when the playoffs come around, a lot of people who aren't diehard Sens fans become that. We love that. Everybody's welcome here on Locked On Senators. So be a friend and tell a friend if they're talking Sens with you. Hey, have you heard Locked On Senators? Make sure to like and subscribe. Really appreciate that. For today, we say goodbye. Game day preview tomorrow and a very special interview, something a little bit different. We love the unique angles on this show, and we found one for you tomorrow. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. We're a part of Locked On Podcast Network, and this has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.